Okay, thank you very much. Damian, do you think we should have concerns about the size of Google?
Yes. But before I explain why, I should say that I'm speaking for myself, not for the Communications Consumer Panel, the group that I'm a member of. There is a spectre that haunts the world. Its name is Google. Its power is such that my two feeble predecessors have simply rolled over and are waiting for their bellies to be tickled in front of this 800-pound gorilla that's stumbling around every market it can possibly get to. Many of you might have heard that this month the town of Topeka in Kansas renamed itself. The mayor announced that the town was to be renamed Google, Kansas. Such is the power of this corporation. There's a backstory there, we won't get into that. I don't really think it's as simple as a spectre that haunts the world. Of course I don't. There are privacy concerns, and we'll hear a lot about those tonight. The Gmail, the spooky stories about Gmail, and the concerns about data protection, competition in particular, and the extent to which, as Google enters more and more markets, the extent to which it may be acting anti-competitively in ways which either reduce the amount of competition in the market, which enables less choice for consumers, or in some other way abuse their dominant position, leverage power in unfair ways, which may actually reduce the amount of investment going into markets that Google may soon go into. We see it in, for example, GPS, when Google launches a new phone with a really excellent GPS competitor system. We see it in video on demand. And in this country, we're very concerned, very used to being concerned about the BBC acting as a chill on investment in markets. And I think we're only beginning to think that there are other potential organisations that may have that similar chill on investment by entering those markets. It's easy to set up Google as a hate figure. I think we're probably at the cusp, at the moment when we should be thinking about these things a little bit more than we have been. Because, of course, on the other hand, putting aside the scare stories, it's absolutely clear that Google is big because Google is good. We all use it. We all go back to it again and again. We all do millions and millions of searches and use Google services because they're good and they're free. And if we don't like them, we have the choice to use others. The moment that there's a problem here is when we don't have a choice to use others. And I think that's a really important point that we should not lose sight of. I think the real question we should be concerned with, really, is are the policy frameworks and the regulatory frameworks that deal with big, powerful companies like these in relation to privacy concerns, in relation to media policy, and in relation to competition, are those frameworks fit for purpose? Because this is a new kind of an organisation, and with it come new kinds of threats to the public interest. So size and power, I think, can bring real problems in relation to privacy and in relation to competition, obviously. I think we see the privacy issue in the fact that data protection law, the normal rules that we have for dealing with privacy issues and privacy rights, on the other hand, they tend to govern particular moments, for example, sharing of information between organisations. And the mere fact of Google's size mean that it's party to information from a number of different places, searches, use of many different services. So Google has more information. And I think the recent episode in China shows how dangerous it is to have a corporation that is a one-stop shop for those that wish to access that kind of information. So we might need some sort of a higher level of protection, a higher level of responsibility for a larger organisation that has more sources of personal data. On the competition side, Google bundle. A competition lawyer is going to speak next, so I'm intrigued to hear what he says. But Google seems to have the potential, at least, to bundle its own services and sell its own services and give page rankings to its own services in ways that might disadvantage the competition. And theoretically, at least, we can imagine that there may be ways, subtle ways, ways which is very difficult to detect, that Google could disadvantage its competition and act anti-competitively. And I don't think there's enough understanding of exactly how that works, and many competitors to Google are very understandably upset about what Google might do. But both on the data protection side and on the competition side, I would say we have rules in place. And the question is, are they fit for purpose? Are they working? And finally, in relation to media policy, you mentioned that Google should be seen as a media company. We have these traditions of media pluralism and the idea that competition policy alone really doesn't deliver the degree of pluralism in the media that is required by society, by a democratic society. Companies, be it News International or any other media company, can get too big. And we have merger controls which are specific to the media sector to deal with those. And as Google becomes more of a media company, and it may have implications in terms of more activities in the content sector, we may also need to think about specific rules which apply to it. However, and I'm going to finish here, I think that when we think about this new beast, and I stress, I think Google really has probably had a net effect of massive progress for humanity in terms of the services it gives, and which it gives for free, which incidentally can raise barriers to entry in certain markets. But Google has done a lot of good, but it needs to engage. It needs to be more transparent. It needs to actually face up to some of the responsibilities that come along with being so big and powerful and be more accountable. And I think that that's something which all the signs are that Google is doing that.
Okay. Beckett, I'm sure you'll